everyone, welcome. Today we are going to be talking about optional auto insurance coverage today. In particular, we're going to talk about a coverage called PIP. The PIP stands for Personal Injury Protection, more about that later. Collision coverage and uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. Today's objective is I want you to be able to describe those three coverages, including what they do and do not cover, when they are applied, so when they kick in, and under what circumstances might you consider actually purchasing these coverages. All right, awesome. Let's get started. We're going to start with personal injury protection, otherwise known as PIP. In the industry, even your agent and everything will call it PIP to you all the time, and it's just an acronym for personal injury protection. Remember before when we said that if you were to crash into somebody, your liability insurance would kick in to pay for their injuries and their damages, but not you or your passengers. Well, this is the product that closes that gap. Personal injury protection pays for injuries and lost wages for you and your passengers. So this is going to help you pay for an accident. When does it cover it? It covers it no matter who's at fault. So if they're at fault, technically they're required to pay you all the damages that you incurred when it's their fault. But maybe their insurance runs out and then they don't have the money to pay you the rest. So what would happen in that case is your personal injury protection coverage would kick in and pay you what they owe you. And then your insurance company could later decide whether they wanted to pursue a lawsuit against the at-fault party to try and recover their money, but you were made whole right away. So personal injury protection helps you whether you were at fault or someone else was at fault. Okay. Coverage limits, you choose. You're going when you sign up for personal injury protection, PIP protection, you're going to choose your coverage limit: $50,000, $100,000, $25,000. But know that the higher your limit, the higher your monthly premiums, it's going to be more expensive. When do I recommend you get PIP coverage? Well, if you're young and you're a careful driver and there's a lot of things going in your favor, you might kind of not get PIP protection. But it is always good to have. When you really need to consider it is when you start a family. So now there's more people in your car that you're responsible for on a regular basis, and those bills in a serious accident can get really high really fast. So all of a sudden, personal injury protection seems like it makes a ton of sense. And then be sure to update your PIP coverage anytime a new household member comes in so that you have enough coverage to cover that extra person. The second coverage we're going to talk about is collision coverage. So before, if you were to crash into somebody, your personal damage liability coverage, your PDL coverage, would kick in and help pay for damages to other people's property outside of your car. Collision coverage is the one that covers you. So if you purchase collision coverage, it helps you pay damages to your vehicle and your property. And then when it kicks in no matter who's at fault. So just like PIP, even if someone crashes into you, they're required to pay you the full amount of your damages. But if they can't because they don't have enough insurance or resources to be able to pay you that money, your collision coverage will kick in right away and make you whole even when someone else is at fault. Your insurance company can then choose to go try to sue them to get the money back, their money back, but you have your money. It's really nice coverage. Coverage limits, again, just like PIP, you're going to choose your coverage limit. You're going to base it on the amount of property that you drive around with. So how expensive is your car? Are there other things in your car like laptops and stuff like that regularly you might want covered? Those sorts of things happen. But know, the more coverage you get, the more expensive your monthly premiums. Collision coverage, just like PIP, it's always good to have because it will help you with your side of the accident. So I encourage you to get it if you can afford it. If your vehicle's value is really low, this is where maybe collision coverage wouldn't be worth the cost. Because maybe you're like, well, if I crash my car, it's only worth a few $1,000s. I'll just have to suffer and get a new car and pay that myself. But once the value of your property starts to exceed that $10,000 number for what the liability damage for other people will pay, or you just want help paying for your vehicle, this is when I would definitely start considering a collision coverage option. All right, last of our 3 coverages for today. Uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. So just like it sounds, this coverage kicks in and it helps you pay for your damages and your injuries when the at-fault driver's insurance doesn't cover your losses. So this is when there's just not adequate insurance and there's some gaps left. This coverage would kick in and pay you and make you whole for your losses and your damages. This is not a liability insurance. So this isn't paying out to someone else. This is paying you when someone else's insurance can't cover your costs. Okay? So this actually only kicks in when someone else is at fault. Coverage limits, here again, you'll be choosing your coverage limits. So this is a way to hedge your bets for PIP and collision coverage. This is not kind of done instead of PIP and collision. This is done kind of on top of it. It's a cheaper way to get a little extra coverage because it covers in fewer times. This only covers when their insurance is inadequate. When should you consider uninsured motorist coverage? Here, it's always good to have. But as the cost of your vehicle and the size of your household increases, if you get hit by somebody who's underinsured or uninsured, this coverage is going to be more likely to kick in because the cost of the accident will probably be higher with more people being injured or a nicer car being damaged. I shouldn't say nicer car, a more expensive car. Not all more expensive cars are nicer, although I think maybe many of them are. And then I thought I'd throw this out to you too here. Approximately 13% of drivers in Washington State are currently driving without any auto insurance. So in that case, this insurance would kick in right away and pay at least what their insurance should have paid and help you pay for other short costs that are coming up. And that's up from 6% prior to the pandemic, which is a crazy increase. But all right, that's it for us today. Great job. You'll be answering or working on the practice problems next. If you have any questions, ask your classmates, ask me. Everyone's here to help you. Awesome.